this morning with a pounding in my head. I got 35 beer cans of fear beneath my bed. So I head down to the quick stop for a Slim Jim and a cup of coffee. The worker there, her name is Charlene. She's got a couple missing teeth and a rabbit foot on her keychain. She's been serving me breakfast since 2017. She looks me dead in the eyes, says, you know what, boy, you're just one of a kind. 'Cause I'm a dying breed, but what you get is what you see. I'm not trying to be anything that I don't want to be. 'Cause I'm a dying breed, I pick a little on my sixth string. I'm like vision in a small stream, paying cash kind of thing. 'Cause I'm a dying breed.
I need 2 bags.
You old man do anything on Holbrook?
Oh,
He said they stunk it up. You want to say something to him on camera? What's up, Daddy Slagle?
What is up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming at you tonight to give you a quick recap of how our THSBA regionals went down at Cedar Creek in Texas. It was an interesting tournament for sure. Pre-fishing was pretty interesting as well, but the boys got it done. Congratulations to them. Ended up second place in a regional tournament with 217 boats. I'll share with you some pics here. Amazing, amazing day. Ended up with 1881, and we actually weighed in. You guys are gonna freak out. We weighed in at about 220, 215 because we had a fish that we were afraid was gonna die on us, and we believe it was just playing possum on us because when we threw it in the tank, it swam away just fine. We're like, seriously, you cost us 45 minutes of fishing. But anyways, second place to the boys. Super congratulations to them. They also tied for third for Angler of the Year. So that is 2-time Angler of the Year champions. And then their third year that they fished together, they tied for third. Amazing, 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 especially when you look at the size of the field of competition that they're going against. We also got Team of the Year for Rockwall. That is our 4-time, that's four in a row, Team of the Year for Central Division for Rockwall High School. Super proud of those boys. We actually tied for first on that one, so we didn't get it all by ourselves, but we definitely tied for Team of the Year, and we got the plaque. It was super, super cool. So just a great, amazing day. THSBA does an awesome job with their tournaments and letting these boys experience the tournament feel and really, have that competitive stuff, to that side of fishing. So just super awesome stuff. And I also want to say thank you to all of you that came up to me during the tournament and said hello to me and let me know that you watched the videos and things like that. It was super cool seeing all of you. I never thought that I would be here doing YouTube videos, talking to you guys and seeing you guys out there on the lake. But it's super cool to see that I have followers and people that are enjoying the content. So we'll keep it up, man. And thank you. If you see me, holler at me. I love that kind of stuff. I love to see and talk to the people that watch the videos and really understand if it's helping you guys, and you guys give me tips too, which is super cool and I can share with everybody else. So just want to say thank you so much for all the support. This has been a kind of a dream come true, but it wasn't really a dream. I just kind of stumbled across it, but it's been a wild, wild ride. So let's go ahead and let's talk about Cedar Creek now. And let's talk about what we learned on this lake, and hopefully even for those of you guys that that don't fish Cedar Creek, or don't fish Texas lakes at all, even this may actually help you guys as well. So I'm just going to start it off by saying, this is how our pre-fishing started. So obviously we pre-fished a ton, right? We knew this was regionals. We knew everything that was at stake. It was all in. It was Saturday, Sunday, and then we got to pre-fish Friday before the tournament. And we may have even snuck in a couple more pre-fishing days before those 2 weekends before. And I think we immediately left the last tournament and went to Cedar Creek the next day and started pre-fishing. It was that we were that intent on making sure that we did good here. So we go down to Cedar Creek, and if you know anything about this lake, it has a ton of docks. There are docks, literally scattered across the entire lake. The nickname for this lake is actually called the washing machine. And the reason why they say that is because it's also loaded with seawalls. There are seawalls, just more seawalls than you could ever imagine. You literally could fish docks for probably a couple days, maybe more than a couple days, and still not even touch half the docks that are on this lake. So I say that because I believe, based on the pre-fishing that I did here, now we're talking probably 6-7 days of being on the water for 8 to 10 hours and really trying to understand the patterns of these fish and what's going on. I believe this is what was going on. So when we started off, it was actually really heavy spawn time, and they're still spawning there, but not as much as what we saw before. But it was really heavy spawn time. So my thought was, if they're spawning, I need to get in the back of the pockets and coves that face to the north or to the northwest. Those are typically your better coves. Even northeast works as well, but basically just north facing banks and pockets. That is typically where you would go look right now if you were trying to find some bass, right? And I always talk to you guys about that on the lake breakdowns and all of that, and that's what's always worked for me. I go to those north facing pockets, I find the fish. If I don't find them in those pockets, then I find them staging up, getting ready to go into those pockets, and that's usually on a secondary point. Well, here we are on Cedar Creek Lake. You don't have that many secondary points. You do have secondary points, I'm not gonna lie to you there, but you don't really have that many good things like that, because you don't have really good points. You just got seawalls everywhere, and you've got docks, but you do have these pockets, right? So we go back, we start fishing these pockets, and it's kind of hit or miss. We catch a fish here or there, but it wasn't anything incredible. I think the first couple days we just sucked it up really bad, didn't do hardly any good at all. Just struggled. We also did a Bass Champs tournament there too. The Saturday before our tournament, our THSBA tournament, we ended up with 16 pounds. So we were starting to kind of figure it out at that point, but still somewhat struggling, even though I know we got 16 pounds, it wasn't like a great day. We had to go around and find some fish for sure, and we struggled to make it happen, but we got it done. So one more day of pre-fishing was that Sunday, and I think that is when really everything started to kind of click. So what I started to notice was that these fish aren't doing what they're supposed to do, right? They're not where they're supposed to be. They're not acting like they're supposed to, and we really needed to make an adjustment. We needed to understand the environment that we were fishing in. Johnny always says fish the moment, and it was kind of like that. I kind of had that fish the moment kind of thing, the light bulb went off, and it was, hey, wait a second. We've got all this man-made cover. It is scattered everywhere through the lake. And my personal opinion is that all of this man-made cover, being docks and seawalls, has changed the attitudes of these fish and where they go and the patterns of these fish, and we need to adapt to that. And so what we did is we knew the fish were on rocks. We kept finding the fish. Anywhere we found rock, we found fish. The other thing that we started to notice is that the more main lake we got, the better quality fish we got, and the more fish we started to catch. So we were like, that's interesting, because here we are, we've been fishing in 1 to 2 foot of water trying to find these fish, and we have been finding them here and there, catching them on frogs, catching them on wacky worms and stuff like that. But again, nothing crazy. We pull out to these points. All of a sudden, one of those pre-fishing days, I think we caught 25 26 fish at Cedar Creek, a lake that we don't usually do that good at. So we were on to him, we kind of figured it out, and what we understood was actually met a guy at the boat ramp a couple days before, a couple pre-fishing days before, and I was telling him that really you gotta just, when you go to a lake like this that has all this man-made cover, and I didn't say this to him exactly because obviously we were in a tournament situation, we were competing against each other, but I just told him that everything that you know about the lake, everything that you've been taught to understand the patterns of the fish, you've got to throw all of that out the window on this lake and just really think about, you know, the environment that you're in. And what I meant by that, which he caught on to immediately, was they're not where you think they're going to be. They're definitely not where you think they're going to be. Yeah, there's going to be some where you think they're going to be, but the majority of the fish are actually the total opposite. And what I mean by that is most of the fish we caught and the success that we had were all on main lake points, on seawalls with rock. And so what Landon did is he went out the night before the tournament and he double checked and made sure that every spot that we were going to fish had rock, had a seawall close by, and had docks close by. Those are kind of the three key elements that they had to be. Now the seawalls couldn't be that deep or couldn't be that shallow either. Once the seawalls got up to like 1 to 2 foot, if it was consistent, you know, like up on a flat or in the back of a pocket, something like that, those were no good. Only the rocks that were more main lake point around docks, you had to have docks, you had to have rock, you had to have main lake points, you had to have a little bit deeper water. So it's almost strange. It was almost like we were already towards summertime, you know, from that type of pattern, but we weren't. What was actually happening is the fish were up on those rocks, on those main lake points, spawning up there on the main lake points. They basically, what they were doing, I think you guys have seen videos before on this, is that they were not migrating. They were staying with their docks. So wherever these docks were, they were just moving up and down these docks, and that's pretty much all they were doing. They didn't look like they ever migrated off those areas. And once we figured that out, again, it was game on. The other thing that was happening is there was a shad spawn going on. There was a shad spawn going on if you got up close to the seawalls in the right areas, especially if the wind was pushing in, the shad spawn was going nuts. But for whatever reason, we never really could take advantage of the shad spawn. But what we did notice is that in the morning, the fish were up on the seawalls, obviously feeding up on the shad. And then as the day progressed, they would pull back out, especially when the sun came up, they would pull back out and pull underneath the docks and hang out on the posts. So literally, that was their whole migration pattern, was front of the dock, seawall, seawall back to the front of the dock. And that's probably what they did all day long. And once we figured out that pattern, that's again, when things started to change. We started to catch bigger fish. We found those fish on the docks. The bigger girls were out off the ends of the docks on some pretty deep docks, 10, 11 foot docks. They were out on the very outside post. The other thing that was absolutely key that we keyed into during pre-fishing is they would not bite, at least for us. We could not get them to bite a 1/4 ounce at all. A 1/4 ounce Texas rig, 1/4 ounce shaky head, it didn't matter. They would not bite it. They would only bite things that were very, very lightweight. So like a wacky worm, or what we actually went to and what we had the most success on is we went with an 1/8 ounce shaky head. So we went with the Scott Canterbury, I think is what it's called, 1/8 ounce shaky head, and we went with that Zoom fat trick worm. I don't know exactly what it's called, but you'll actually see it. If you just go out there and look for the Zoom fat, it's like the Zoom fat trick worm, but it's the smaller one. It's the Magnum, but it's the smaller one. That is all we used, and that is what absolutely hammered them. It was a very interesting way to fish, especially for those big ones. Once we pulled off to the docks, what you basically had to do is you had to throw your lure up there and make sure it was falling horizontally right there, or not horizontally, vertically, right there on the post. And what would happen is you would have to sit there and literally count for like almost 10 seconds and let that thing just fall. And all you would do is once you felt it, once you thought it was at the bottom or you felt it go to the bottom, you would just kind of pick it up. And if it was heavy, then that was when you knew you had to jack them. And it was a very hard way to fish. It was a very slow way to fish, but it was a very effective way to fish. So hopefully that helps you guys out. If you're on one of those man-made lakes that has all of this, or not man-made lakes, they're almost all man-made in Texas. If you're on those lakes where you have a ton of man-made cover, such as docks, if it's just littered with docks, remember, it will change the pattern of the fish. It will change their behaviors, and you need to adapt that in order to have success on that lake. Guys, I hope that helps you out. Again, thank you all so much for the support. Until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.